Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So the reason for this video is because lately I've been seeing quite a few people talking about, at least on my feed, on my social media feed, I've been seeing people talking a little bit about like spirituality and like the matrix and simulation and all this stuff. And I just wanted to give you guys the facts of what are the origins of these theories. Like, did somebody just wake up one day and was like, it's this? I mean, maybe, like, who knows? But there is an origin story to this, and that's what I want to briefly explain. This is not like scripted. I didn't do like too much research into this because I do want to make a video about different religions and philosophies, what they have in common, etc. Like, because I want to give it their value and the importance that I see. Because all humans throughout history always want to worship something or get to know the truth of reality, right? And that is a video that I want to expand on later. But for now, I will give you this brief synopsis of what the origins are to this. Now, I do want to give a disclaimer out there just in case. I don't really follow a specific religion or religious teaching. I kind of just like believe in God because I had my own experience with that. If you guys want a video about that, let me know. But yeah, I've always had a little bit of a hard time just sticking to one thing because I'm like, I want to know the truth and I want to know what else is out there. I hope that explains my reasoning to you guys. It's not like, oh, I'm a heathen or I mean, there wouldn't be anything wrong with being an atheist. I used to be an atheist until I had that experience. It is simply the fact that I'm a very curious mind and I want to explore and I want to learn what else is out there. I am not an oracle. I am not like a seer and all-knowing God. So I don't know what the truth of reality is out there. But what I can do is learn and tell you guys what I learned. And if I don't know something, I won't talk about it. To not spread misinformation. Both the matrix theory and the simulation theory draw roots from Gnosticism. Now, what is Gnosticism? Gnosticism originated, it's like an early form, like one of the early branches of Christianity. And it was persecuted by the Romans. They were like, okay, you obviously can't talk about Christianity without involving the Romans and their impact on the world as we know it. But yes, this is an early subdivision of Christianity, but it was persecuted. So how did we find out about this? Well, not too long ago, like 1940s around there, we found out about this Nag Hammadi library. And there were quite a few texts that were like hidden and happened to survive despite Roman persecution. Anyways, Jesus Christ was over here preaching his little thing. Why was he persecuted? As a matter of fact, Romans almost created the extinction of this subgroup of Christianity. And one question I like to ask questions to try to find the logic in things, okay? So sometimes we are taught things in history, but how do we know that they are right? How do we know that somebody else is not biased in their interpretation of it? Okay, so I like to ask questions. When I first found out that Romans killed Jesus Christ, I was like, okay, I'm guessing they saw him as a threat to their empire, but why would he be a threat to their empire? Okay, that's the first question. Second question is, why would, after they persecute him and hang him in a cross as like some traitor, this like terrorist to them, why would they all of a sudden start following his religious teachings? That didn't make sense. Okay, the Roman Empire was oligarchs, right? And then some guy, like the main guy, he was like, no, wait, guys, I had a dream. This is true. Okay, guys, let's love and light. And I find that odd because the Romans, they were like a brutal and cruel empire. They literally had games where people were murdered, like with lions, like fighting lions and like all these disgusting things that to them were just entertainment. They were funsies. Oops, a murder, yay. Okay, oops. So you're telling me that all of a sudden they're like, love and light, you guys. And first of all, that doesn't make sense. Second of all, they were oligarchs. So one guy just didn't just have a dream and was like, okay, we're changing everything. That sounds like a very lame excuse. It makes you think, it makes you question, like, was there another motive for this? Was there an ulterior motive? And this is just my opinion. My opinion is that he ended up having such a massive impact on the general population, on the masses, that they had no way of like controlling or put out the fire. To say the only way they could go about it was to integrate it into their society, and from integrating into their society, they could control it, they could suppress it. And I would not doubt that they put their own spin on Jesus Christ's teachings so that they could stay in control and for power. Why would they go through all that trouble? Well, why did they persecute him in the first place? They persecuted him, well, let me begin. There were various other religions around this, okay, because the Roman Empire was very large, very vast. So there were Jews running around, there were Zoroastrianisms, there were all types of paganism. So, why was this guy persecuted? In my humble opinion, he was persecuted over power and greed. Why? Because he was teaching people that they have power within themselves. 100% sure, I don't know what his teachings were, okay? But they must have been a big threat to the empire. So I'm guessing that he was probably teaching people that these powerful people don't actually have that much power, okay? And that deep down, we all have power. That's what I'm guessing. Because imagine a mass of people realizing that they all have power all at the same time. And there's just like a few people, like 10 people governing the whole place. And they have slaves and they mistreat their people. What do you think is going to happen? A revolt, a rebellion. So yeah, that's why they, in my opinion, that's why they went through all that trouble. Just from asking myself questions of what makes a little bit more sense. But I don't know for 100%. Now, it's so funny to me because the Roman Empire created their church supposedly on Jesus Christ's teachings. And they went around collecting religious books, religious teachings, and burning some, and having a secret vault of books at the Vatican. Like, what is the need to have this secrecy around your religion? If you're really pure and you have good intentions, why are you keeping secrets from people? But I digress. So all of my ramblings is not to throw hate on any religion, okay? I want to make that very clear. I'm just talking about the origins of things, how things get changed throughout history. You know what I mean? I like to see that Romans created Roman Christianity. That's how I see it, okay? And then they went from a Roman Empire all the way to a church empire. Why? Because eventually the church had its own power, and it became so powerful that kings actually decided to make Bibles themselves to like move away from the church and kind of have their own sovereignty, which, like, in a way, you see how there is like so much corruption behind this, because who did it was the Roman Empire. It was an empire, and then it became its own empire, and it's like power and greed and all that. But like I'm saying, I don't necessarily think that it's false or that there are lies in it. I just wouldn't be surprised if they, put their own spin on it, remixed it to their own benefit, to the benefit of the wealthy people and the wealthy oligarchs, and to allow mistreatment of other people, like abusing other people. How they are, for example, pro-slavery, because in the Roman Empire, slavery was a thing. I also want to explain a little bit how the Romans admired the Greeks, and they still decided to warp Greek teachings. Okay, like for example, it's the Odyssey. The Greeks had their own version of the Odyssey, which was about human nature, okay, and how to improve yourself. And the Romans took that upon themselves, and because that would give people too much strength, they made it into like a story, okay, an entertainment story, and it really diverted from the main topic of the Odyssey. But I digress, because you could see, I wanted to bring this topic up because you can see how manipulative they are for their own gains. That is the only reason I'm bringing this up. So our modern day version of Christianity was created by the Roman Empire, not by Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ has his own teachings, okay? I just want you to remember that. These are separate things. And this one, the Roman Empire, wanted to use these teachings to their benefit. Keep that in mind. Back to Gnosticism after my little rant. Gnosticism, okay? This is a branch of Christianity, kind of. But you have to remember, in different religions, there's always like little branches that kind of, they just grow out because they have their own interpretations and their own beliefs, etc. Now, that doesn't mean that anyone is the end all be all. It's just a different interpretation. Little side note, I just remembered, there was this thing called the Library of Alexandria, right? And there were many books, important books in history. And this was like a famous library. Like, it had a collection of everything, right? I want you guys to take a guess. Who burned it? Just take a guess. Take a guess. A library, a place of knowledge, of the spreading of information. Who burned it? We believe that maybe during a war with someone like Julius Caesar, Roman emperors throughout wars, they would like, I don't know if it was accidentally, but they burned it down. Another reason why it's a little bit hard to believe that just this one guy, this one Roman emperor woke up one day and was like, you know what, guys, Christianity, that's the way to go. And everyone was like, oh my God, yes, you're so right, is the fact that Romans were an oligarch, right? And look at what happened to Julius Caesar. He started going against what the oligarchs wanted. And guess what happened to him? The oligarchs united and they were like, no, we are an oligarchy. Okay. So anyways, Gnosticism, okay? Gnosticism basically has a little bit of everything, right? A little bit of Christianity, Persian thoughts, Greek philosophies, what else? And Jewish also. So what's the core belief of Gnosticism? The core belief of Gnosticism would be that human salvation is through gnosis, or known as like secret teachings of the world. And I would also add, it's like kind of getting to know yourself, right? It talks about the external world and the internal world, and how you can kind of conquer these using your introspection, okay? And knowing how it is that the external and internal world work. You can absolutely look this up on your own. Right now, I'm not gonna get too into it. I just wanted to give you the origin story, right? Maybe I should talk a little bit about what it is that Gnosticism is. Okay. Basically, Gnosticism, in my own words, would be that you don't have to wait for a Christ-like figure to come and save you. That you can save yourself knowing how the world works, knowing how you work. But for now, if you want, you can look at other channels or even read books about this topic. And I do want to make a video about this. I don't know when I will make a video about it because, well, I'm a new creator and I'm kind of just doing my best, you know. I know that you guys are also into psychology, and I am graduating with my AA psychology, but I'm going back to school in like the summer. So probably around summertime, I will be making more videos about psychology. But for now, I do want to diversify a little bit, because since I will be talking a lot about psychology coming up, I also want to keep my channel a little bit diverse, because that's something I enjoy. I enjoy learning with diversity, learning a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit from everywhere, okay? So basically, I wanted to give you guys this information that although the matrix theory and the simulation theory seem a little bit cuckoo crazy, our ancestors were kind of onto the same thing, okay? And in a later video, we will dive more into it, okay? So we'll see you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you want to know more of, and later.